The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's webinar. My name is Alex, and I will be showing you guys how to use the selection set tool that we have on our MWF wall ribbon. Just before I start, I am going to be adding a few extra tools in this webinar at the same time, just to give a refresh basically on some of the utilities of the selection tools that we have within this menu. One of the reasons why I wanted to focus on the selection set tool this week is because I believe maybe not enough of our clients currently use it, because there are other methods within Revit and within MWF, such as some of these other tools that we're going to see here, that allow you to make certain selections in your project in order to isolate and focus on certain members. But the selection set tool, if used properly, can actually help you to manipulate, changes at the end of your project when most of the things get modeled and you need to make a quick change. It's easy basically to grab a whole lot of your members and change them. And then at that point, you can then create your shop drawings without worrying about, going into your panels properties and regenerating panels and such. So once I end this this webinar, if anybody has any questions, you can always raise your hand within the dashboard, or feel free to send us an email if you'd like more information, or basically to get into a little training session to go over anything that may relate to what we're going to see today. Okay, so first thing I want to do, I'm just going to go ahead and hide this floor system right here so you can get a better look at all of these panels that are already generated. So as I mentioned before, I want to focus on selection sets. Now, a couple of examples that we could use this. One of them is going to be basically for CNC output. So if your tracks have all of the dimple locations that maybe need to be changed, just a small offset or something, and instead of going within your panels and then changing the information inside of the whole series and such, we can just grab all the tracks within the project, and because of the parameters that actually exist in it. So for example, let me just zoom in here, and we have so here the type parameter here for dimple lines. Okay, so right now it's set to 0. So if this was something, we can turn this into an instance parameter, for example, that will be right here ready to change. And then we can grab all tracks in the project at once and make the switch here to, to add a small value for the offset of the location, sorry, of the holes. So how do I get this done? If I go to the selection set, once you guys install MWF, you get a list here of selection sets that are already pre-created. Now, you can use these to create your own. So you can copy these and keep the parameters that are already set up. You can also merge some of these together. And what I mean by that is, for example, you'll see everything is kind of separated in here for specific to MWF. Okay, so this is the MWF group. So for doors, I have door king studs. Then I have my openings king studs, and then I have my windows king studs. So you can go through each and every one of these, and you'll notice if I just zoom out here a little bit so that we can see everything light up. Go back in. Okay. So as I'm clicking the little images of the folders, okay, so for opening king stud, right now I don't seem to have any openings in this project, so I'm going to then go to my door kings. Okay, so you see anywhere where there's some king studs for my door openings, they get lit up and selected. But maybe you wanted this to be doors and windows together. So like I said, I'm going to show you how to create new selection sets, but I'm also going to show you how to merge these. So the option here with the two little characters allows you to combine sets together. So what I can do is select this, and then it's going to open up a dialog box where I can give this a new name. So I can call this All Kings, for example, and then select the combination of which sets I want. So in this case, I would like to have my door kings as well as my window kings right here. And then the operation that I would pick is union. So this is going to basically allow me to grab everything that's part of set A and set B. So I'm going to hit OK. And then it's going to generate a new set for us. So now if I click this, you'll notice now that my kings are selected for windows as well as the doors. Okay, so you can push this basically for different members. If I just go ahead and go to create new to give you guys basically all the different parameters that you can access. So you have the categories on the left side. Now, with all these categories, it's not necessarily only MWF objects that you can create these sets for. So if I go through here and you'll see door tags, doors, if I go all the way down to walls, wall tags, you can create these for anything that you're going to be doing within the modeling in Revit. So maybe you create one for walls and you call this exterior walls. And then you go look for a parameter. What parameter are we going to pull from the walls that's going to allow me to select only my exterior walls, for example? So it could be a BIM-SF description. Maybe you guys put some type marks inside of the type properties of your walls. It could also be functions. So once you select something, so if I just go ahead and let's say I put type mark, and then in operations here, this will change depending on the parameter you pick. So in this case here, I can say contains, and then maybe ext. Okay, so then at this point, I'd have to double check, obviously, to see if my Revit walls have a type mark with ext input. So let me just get out of here before I do this. And I'll go pick this wall, go look at the edit types. So there's nothing here for the type mark. So let me just actually write ext. So this is, as I mentioned before, anything, see like the function here says exterior, so you can pull this parameter also. I'm going to do the type mark for now, just for the example. Hit apply and OK. And let's just double check that that's stuck. OK. And I'm going to go back into my selection set. And while I'm here, because I'm doing something that's not specific to MWF, it's a good place here also where you can generate, again, different groups. So I can type in Revit, let's say. So I know that anything that's going to be in this Revit group, when I select my sets, are going to be focused more on the Revit families and tools that we have. So I'm going to hit the little plus sign. So now I can go to my MWF sets, or I can go to my Revit sets. So now inside of my Revit sets, I would hit the create new, like I just did before. And let's go get that wall category. Call this exterior wall. And we're going to use the type mark parameter. Contains or even equals would probably work in this case because it's exactly ext, the value that I input. Okay, and you'll see as I select this now, everything in here that had the ext part of it is selected. So again, it could have been another parameter. It could have been your wall type also that we selected. Okay, so again, this is just another way basically to organize yourself when you're going to be selecting certain things in your project. Now, obviously, you could always pick your wall and just use the Revit select all instances. So it's going to go ahead and grab everything that's similar. So that's one option. So you'll have to weigh out basically in what case is it better to use the sets versus what's already available to us in Revit. So for example, if I wanted to pick my king studs here, if I select one of these and I did the select all instances, it's actually going to go ahead and grab the other S columns that are in this project, not specific to kings. So in this case, the selection set may come in handy a little bit more than that. So let's just go back in here one more time. And now I'm going to grab my horizontal members. So I have some blocking here in some of these walls. So let's go here to horizontal studs. Now I'm going to exit. I still have my selection. You can see down here in the filter how many you have selected. And you could also see this inside of the selection set when you click on your folder. So where did it go? Horizontal studs. You'll see here at the bottom how many elements are selected. So now I can exit. And as I was mentioning before, instead of going into the actual panel's properties and changing the horizontal members and then regenerating your panel, you can just have these selected and pick a new family basically to change all of these, and then you can generate your shop drawings, for example, or create your schedules at this point. And so in this case, I would suggest doing this, once everything is already done. If there's some tweaking to do, but you don't necessarily want to, as I mentioned, regenerate panels, this could be a quick way to access all the members that you're looking for in the project in one shot. Let me go back in here and make sure I don't forget anything that's part of the selection set. So your different groups, different parameters that you can use, create new. This is where I was mentioning before, you can copy, so you can just use one of the ones that we've already created for you and make a copy based off of what's already set up, and then you can make some changes. And this is your modify and delete, which you can also access through right-clicking on the item. And then you can change the way that everything is represented in this list. So I think that's it. So that's mostly what you can do with section. Again, you'd have to explore it a bit more in depth as far as seeing exactly when you would want to use this. A little heads up, for anybody who has used this, we normally don't have this tool in our floor module. But they will be adding it shortly. It's one of the updates that we're actually bringing to our floor module. So they're going to be adding the same selection set tool for that. So that'll be nice, and there'll probably be a couple little changes done to it. So, just to go over a few other stuff, like I said, that I would like to kind of refresh in the selection options, other than selection sets, which I think will be a really nice addition to your workflow once you get this set up. There's a couple of tools here, such as select non-frame walls. So if you're looking for any walls that may not have had the framing created, you can always click this. It's going to then search through the project and look for anything that doesn't have the MWF data basically assigned to it. So you'll see here everything is getting selected. It's mostly my first floor here that I didn't actually frame for this. Okay, so all that gets selected. And then you also have select identical groups. So if you have model groups, you'll be able to pick one. And by using this, it's going to go ahead and select all the identical ones in your project. Select panel members, most of you are probably already aware. This is a quick way for us to isolate a panel. So it's a little mix of the MWF select panel members, and then with Revit, we can just isolate the panel. Oh, I think I took a really large panel here. Just be a few seconds. All right, sorry about that. I should have taken something a little bit smaller. But so I did the select panel members. So now I have everything that belongs to this panel. And then what I can do from this point is just hit HI on my keyboard, or you can always go down here where you can temporarily hide and isolate. And now I can work specifically on this panel with nothing else selected. So again, this is a little bit of a mix of our tool with the Revit temporary hide isolate. Let me just bring everything back. HR. Okay. And then the other ones that we have in here, these are more, if you want to make a new view for your entire project. So maybe you don't want to see all of the framing. You can hide all the panels in the view. So it's just going to keep your Revit walls. And then you can then bring them back by doing show all panels. That'll bring all the data back. It's not regenerating panels, so you don't have to worry about it running a second time and maybe losing some work. It's really just bringing back anything that was hidden. And then you have same thing as this, but this is for selections. So whatever you do pick, you can hide and show. And then hide inner members. So if I just go ahead, I'm going to isolate a smaller panel here. Let's bring this guy to a different view. This is going to allow us to actually only kind of see like the critical framing. So we're just going to see the shell of the panel with the opening framing when I use this hide inner members. So if I do hide inner members right here, you get a question. Do you want to keep the labels? Yes or no. Most of these options are similar, just a couple little changes to them. So I'm just going to hit OK. And it's going to go ahead. It's going to take out my studs. It's going to go ahead and take out the cripples. And it's really just keeping, what makes the panel basically more solid and the critical framing for it. So this could be something that you use. I know that we have a tool also in the edits or tools here that does something similar. So you have the option in the selection as well as in some of the tools. Let me just go back now. And the last thing here, I'm not going to show this one because isolate panels, basically, you're going to isolate your MWF panels, but it's going to actually get rid of everything else. And then the only way to kind of revert back to it is just to Control Z, which allows you to bring, your Revit walls and tags and all that back. So this would be more something, again, if you want to create some view where you were maybe done modeling and you really only want to see framing, you can hit this isolate panels on selection. Okay. Just go back here. Didn't forget anything. So we got this inner. And then again, like I said, there's you got a couple options, obviously through Revit with right clicking and hiding and isolating. So a little bit of a shorter webinar for this week. Again, just something I want to bring to your attention if you guys have never used it, are selection sets. And again, you'll be able to see this appearing soon within the wall module as well. So I invite you guys to explore this. And if you have any questions on how to set this up or to look for specific parameters, maybe, feel free to reach out to us. I'll give you guys couple minutes here just to see if anybody wanted to ask a question. And if not, feel free to, as I mentioned, just email us and someone will get back to you as soon as possible. So thank you for attending today's webinar, and I'll just hold off just a few more seconds here. Okay, so I think that'll be it. So thank you, everybody, and we'll see you next week for another webinar.